Hello, everybody. This is Melinda Roy. I'm the host of this WYN conferences. So thank you so much. This is the second day of WYN Croatia Summit 2022. So, lot of energetic presentations, speakers. Oh my God, it's really going to be very awesome. Thank you so much for your beautiful presentations and your energy and your support. Thank you so much. And here is our speaker, Marquita Thompson. So, hi, Marquita Thompson. How are you?
I'm great. How are you today?
I am doing good. Thank you so much. We cannot see you.
Oh,
Yes, we.
some difficulties
Yeah, I
there.
can see you, but it's not that much clear. So, are you? Will you able to enable the camera?
Oh, okay. Just let me go get that.
Wow, very good. Nice hairstyle. So
Thank you.
yes, Marketa, so before we start the session, so we will play an audio that is the introduction of yours. So after that you can start your session. Okay, thank you so much for being a part of this one conferences as a speaker.
Thank you.
Here I am introducing Marquita Thompson. Marquita Thompson is a licensed professional counselor in the state of Ohio. Marquita specializes in identifying generational trauma that negatively impacts Black and Brown communities. Mrs. Thompson's expertise is in working with those individuals who have experienced childhood and generational trauma and have difficulties showing up as their authentic selves. Marquita intentionally creates a safe place that embodies empowerment, advocacy, and genuineness for her clientele. This is the introduction of Marquita Thompson. Thank you so much. I would like to first welcome and thank you for coming to creating a space of authenticity. Welcome to the present moment. But before we begin, I want you to remind yourself that this time is for you and you alone. Allow for no distractions, no worries, and no to-do list to interfere. Take a moment and just close your eyes. Make yourself feel comfortable wherever you are. Acknowledge where you may be sitting. Relax yourself in the comfort of your seat. Relax your shoulders, relax your neck, relax your jaw, Relax your forehead. Once you've reached a place of stillness, begin by taking a deep breath. In through your nose and out through your mouth. Let's try that again. A deep breath in through your nose, filling your chest cavity. And out through your mouth, allowing yourself to release the pressures of today and the worries of tomorrow. Let's try that one more time. A deep breath in through the nose and out through your mouth. Releasing every tension, every worries. As your eyes remain closed, I just want you to think about your yesterday. Think about your last day at work. You might have woken in the morning after a nice sleep, taken a shower, been dressed, had your morning coffee or breakfast. Maybe interacted with your family, kissed your spouse, and got your children off to school. Notice yourself getting into your vehicle and heading to work. While in your car, you turned on your favorite radio station where you're playing your favorite song. Please sing along. You arrived at work and interact with your supervisor, greet your coworkers, and other people in your workspaces. You speak to a number of clients or customers. At the end of your shift, pack up your things and get ready to head home. At home, you're greeted by your family. Create dinner, enjoy it, have a glass of wine or beer if you prefer. Now, as if you were watching a movie, I want you to take a moment to reflect on the day. Take notice of your body language. Pay attention to your facial expressions and how you may have responded to each encounter. Did you have moments where you were smiling? Did you have moments of anxiety, worry? Do you remember feeling tension or guarded by any of your interactions? Go ahead and open your eyes. I would like you to pinpoint a moment in your day when you were your most authentic self. And as we continue with today's presentation, I just want you to hold on to that moment. In today's presentation, we will define what it means to be authentic. In what ways does our values and morals impact our authenticity? We will explore what reasons hinder us from showing up as our authentic selves. We will create a sense of self-awareness using a therapeutic model called Jhari Window. And we will identify how we can create a space of authenticity in our lives, physically, mentally, and emotionally. So let's get to know each other a little better. My name is Marquita Thompson. I'm a licensed professional counselor. I specialize in identifying generational trauma that negatively impacts people of color and their communities. My expertise is with those individuals within these communities who have experienced childhood, generational, and societal trauma that have difficulty showing up as their authentic selves. I create and I encourage my clients to create a safe space that encourages them to also be empowered, become advocates, and be genuine of who they are and what they've experienced. I am the CEO and founder of Mahogany Bridges Mental Health Services, LLC. It was founded following the deaths of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, in the hopes of providing a safe space for people of color to feel seen, as well as providing the opportunity for them to cope with the events around them. I have been on many speaking platforms. One of the most recent is May of 2022, where I was a speaker on More Than Just a Mom conference. Let's get into it. Authenticity. What is it? So Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines it as someone who is not fake or something that is not fake, imitation, but is real, actual, true to one's own personality, spirit, or character. Google defines it as being genuine, ingenuineness. In order to be genuine, I believe that one of the key factors is identifying what it is that you value and who you are. One key way to acknowledge who we are is by identifying what our values are. And our values are actually have a strong correlation with our upbringing, surprisingly. Think about it. How and where you were raised, it sometimes, or most of the times, it impacts what it is that how you view the world. So if you were raised by a single parent, your values may look different than someone who was raised by a two-parent household or a foster parent, a grandparent. If you were raised as an only child, your views may look different than someone who had 4 or 5 siblings. These things and many more play a role in how our values are formed, how they're shaped, and how they're upheld. If you think about it, if you think about your community, if you were raised in an apartment complex versus a single family home, if you think about your culture, your religion, and your country, all of these factor into how our personal values are formed. Some examples of values, some common ones are if we value community, value that village complex, the individuality, or if we value teamwork, integrity. We value sometimes loyalty, family, that family component, authenticity, which is being genuine or true to who you are, empathy. Sometimes we value that, many people value that as far as putting yourselves in someone else's shoes, hard work. Morals kind of go hand in hand with our values. Morals are simply defined as what is right or wrong. And some of those examples are don't cheat, the golden rule, which is treat people the way you want to be treated, respect other people's property, keep your promises. People's values are defined by who we are personally, but our morals are what society ultimately wants from us. And so they go hand in hand. And so I challenge you to make a list of about 5 values and 5 morals. These two go hand in hand, as I said. One thing to think about is how it shapes you and in what ways you show up authentically with these values. So, one question I get a lot is, if being authentic is so easy, then why is it harder for some to show up than others? And there are many reasons why people don't show up as their authentic selves. And one common reason is due to past experiences. So ultimately, you're encouraged to do or not to do. What you're encouraged to do, you ultimately foster, and it grew, it progressed over time. And what you were maybe shied away from were those things that you were not encouraged to do. So I like to think about children coloring, how when they first get coloring crayons and paper, they just scribble all over the place. Well, ultimately, over time, that begins to change because they learn the rules of society, they learn the morals, or the expectations, for lack of a better word, of, hey, you color within the lines, and that makes for a better picture, or a prettier picture. Another reason why people don't show up as their authentic selves is due to being different, fear of judgment. No matter how we look at it, we all want to be accepted. And nobody wants to be ostracized or isolated due to being authentic or be the genuine selves. Because ultimately you're being vulnerable and transparent in that authenticity. And so you want to be accepted, or you want to know that you're going to be accepted. Another reason why people don't show up as their authentic self is just because of that expectation of our obligation to be nice or cordial. So you would never go to someone and say, oh, your food is nasty or disgusting, because it's identified within our society as being rude, and you're looked at as rude. And so you want to be nice, you play nice, and you just be nice, and that's one reason why people aren't really as authentic with their feelings in those type of situations. Another one is imposter syndrome. That's a major reason why people don't show up as their authentic selves. That fear of being identified as fake or a fraud. This is where you start to doubt your skills, your talents, and abilities. You start to think about like you don't belong here, and so you continue to kind of fake it till you make it, in hopes that one day you'll be able to be authentic. And so my hope is that by the end of today's presentation, you will have several examples of how to be your true authentic self. So one activity that we're going to do is called Jhari Window. If you have pen and paper nearby, I would highly suggest you get a piece of pen or paper. Jhari Window, as you're getting pen and paper, I'm going to explain what it is. So Jhari Window was made in 1955 by two psychologists, Joseph Luft and Harrington Ingham. This model is meant to bring self-awareness and self-perception, and to help establish authentic, genuine connections that you build with other people. So the model, the reason why it's identified as a window is because it has two columns. Those two columns are broken into 4 quadrants, which kind of resemble a window. I like to think of it as a 4-way mirror. When you go into a boutique, you oftentimes are placed in front of like 2 mirrors on the front and then 2 on the side, which can identify or could show you different points of view of each part of the garment that you're trying on. And so in the first window, we identify it as the open self, open area window. It's the I know, you know window. And in this window, there are no secrets. So as I present myself is what you receive. So I'd imagine going into a room, being in this room, what you see without me even saying any words is you see a woman of color. You see that I am of dark complexion and that I have locks in my hair. So when I left my house this morning, I knew that this is the way I would present myself, and this is exactly the way you see me. And so in this space, again, there are no secrets. How I present is how you see me. So I want you to think about when you walk into a room, what things do people see that you show up? How do you show up? I'm going to give you guys like maybe a couple of seconds just for the sake of time. And so the second window is the hidden window, or the facade. This is where we keep those things about ourselves or others aren't privy to. So this is where we hold in this window our past experiences, our fears, our ambitions, our dreams. And so these are things, of course, where it's I know, but you do not know. And so you're not privy to those various things unless I was to tell you or share this with you. For example, one privy thing is that people that will know by just looking at me that I enjoy beets. It's one thing that I've learned over the years that I actually like. I put them in my smoothies, or I like the nutritional value that it adds to my meal. And so I enjoy that, even though they're never looking at me. The second thing is that I'm a twin. And so I
You will not know by looking at me that I'm a twin unless I told that to you. And a lot of people have not known that for many years. But yeah, so those are two things that I know you don't know. Well, now you do know. So now that is we both know. So what things do most people not know about you? What things do people not know about you? I encourage you to maybe write down 3 things in that space. This is the hidden facade window. The third window is called the blind spot. So keep in mind that this was created in 1955 where things weren't all politically correct. But this one is called the blind spot. And in this window is the I don't know what you do window. It's the spot that's identified because you may not notice it about yourself, but other people notice it about you. So think about those comments that people share with you. They could be both positive and negative, true or false, that people may have come up to you and said. So you may have heard things like, you walk around like you got a chip on your shoulder, or you say a lot, every other word. You say or you're very confident, or you come off as very confident or arrogant. So those are things that people may say in observation of who you present as. And the purpose of this window is to allow you to become more aware of how you present to others in hopes of progress, growth, and to become more self-aware. And so hopefully this comes from people out of love in regards to how you present to yourself, how you present to others. And so one example of how I presented one time at residency is I had a counselor. I was in counselor training, and I had to do a presentation, and I thought that I had bombed this presentation. I thought that it was just terrible, and I was going to have to redo it. And my professor came up to me, and she was just like, "You did an amazing job. Like, I never would have thought that you were in training," and all of the accolades and praise that came along with that. And I had shared with her, like, I thought that I did not do very well. Like, I was very nervous, and that was a part of that hidden facade where nobody knew, but I knew that I was a nervous wreck. And she was able to identify a blind spot that I present confidently, even if I'm nervous. And so, yes. The fourth window is the unknown, undiscovered window, and it's the I don't know and you don't know yet window. These things in this window have not been discovered yet. We know this is a space because when you are presented with new things, you found out more about what it is that you are capable of. It's a part of us waiting to be discovered. New experiences teach us and reveal parts of us that have not been explored until that moment. So think about if you have children and before you became a parent, you did not know that part of you. Or if you are married, before you became married, you probably did not know that how you were identified as a spouse. Some other unknown and discovered aspects could be just who you are in the future as far as retirement or your health. What does that look like in the future? Keep in mind that all these windows are able to shrink and grow. So as you identify, like I identify that I like these, that I'm a twin, that moves from the hidden facade out to the open self, open area, because now I know you know. And even with the unknown and undiscovered, once you know something about yourself, like you know that now, oh, I like sushi, or I like, asparagus, or I don't like it. Those things are then moved to the open area or to the hidden facade or things of that nature. So I really hope that this can be a tool that brings about self-awareness for you and just walking in your authenticity. I think that one key component is just being aware of how you show up in different aspects and how we can continue to grow. So in creating an authentic space, now that you're aware of how you show up in these spaces, let's start by showing up for ourselves. So apart from this journey of self-exploration is knowing the difference between our roles versus our identity. in your roles, your roles are your things in your life that you have adopted or adapted to. So throughout your life or throughout your journey, you inquire these things or you acquire these things. Sorry. So being a mom, being a wife, being a therapist, a student, these are all roles. And truth be told, these roles will alter over time as life progresses. So your children will ultimately grow older and hopefully adopt a family of their own. So they'll grow up and leave the nest, and then your role as a mom or your role as a parent will ultimately kind of become less of a need rather than in comparison to when they were an infant where they needed you all the time, and it was constant. As a student, you will grow, you will eventually graduate from whatever program you're in. You no longer be a student, you'll be introduced into the professional world. And even as a therapist, I pray that one day I will retire and that, again, that role will diminish. And so your identity is who you were prior to these things existing. It will continue to be there after these other roles, titles, and have altered or matured. So your identity is linked to your individuality and creating an authentic space. It's important that we create boundaries around our roles and who we are authentically. So this doesn't mean like we got to neglect our responsibilities in creating those boundaries, but we be mindful of how we continuously make other people or other things priorities and place our needs on the back burner. And so in creating these boundaries, I highly encourage you in creating authentic space that you set boundaries as far as making time for who you are. You create boundaries as far as not allowing people to have access to you 24/7. So if that means putting your phone on Do Not Disturb at 9 p.m., that you're doing so, or that means you waiting to respond to a text message or to a phone call after, until it's more of a convenience, and you do so. Before we had voicemail, and so we would just call people, on our phone line when we got home from work or when we were able to relax and enjoy the company. And so the last one is make time for yourself. Make time for yourself. That means scheduling yourself on your calendars or putting a reminder on your phone to, hey, I need to schedule that massage or whatever the case may be. It's important that you don't no-show or you're not late to these appointments because you're of value. You're just as important as it is showing up for work. You're just as important as going to the doctor or being there for someone else. Give yourself just as much priority as you do everyone else in creating an authentic space. So can we talk about creating authentic space without mental, physical, and emotional space? So in this mental space, our mental is actually one major component as to why we don't show up as our authentic selves, because we're in our head most of the day, most of the time, and we try to make excuses around why we can't do it this time or why we can't show up that time. So these are just a few tips that I have for you showing up in your mental space. And the first one is that you're mindful and you're aware of your habits. Our habits are either moving us toward or away from our authentic selves. And so with scrolling on social media, you can be second guessing who you are or even comparing yourself to that person or those things, and just becoming envious of that lifestyle. And so setting a limit and saying I'm going to do 2 hours and I'm only going to look at those things that are positive and uplifting, perfectly fine. Practicing meditation and mindfulness, I would suggest starting off with just 2 minutes of meditation and working your way up to 5 to 10 minutes at a time. Mindfulness can be just as simple as identifying 2 things that you hear, 2 things that you see, and 1 thing that you feel. For affirmations, I encourage you to recite affirmations daily. I actually encourage my clients to put the Post-it notes around their mirror. And so when they're brushing their hair or they're brushing their teeth, they're saying that I am beautiful, I am smart, I have great value. The next one is self-exploration, which is just as it sounds, like self-care. You exploring what it is that you care about, but deciding what it is that you actually like rather than what has been introduced to you based on tradition, like what you're supposed to like. If you've always liked scrambled eggs, it's like, well, were you always given scrambled eggs and you're supposed to like it? Have you ever tried poached or over easy? Just various things to explore. Taking your PTO time is a major one for me. These are time that's given to you. This is time that your company wants you to have. And so take it and don't apologize for it. PTO days are essential for you to show up for you. Don't apologize. Take it as a commercial break, and I'll get back to my regular program the next day. All right. Physical space. So creating authentic space wouldn't be what it is without physical space. So we have a couple months until the year is out, but our season is about to change. It's changing. And so I encourage you to actually change your physical space around, move some things around, get rid of some of the old things and things that bring about negative energy. It may have been a gift that you received, that you were being cordial and being nice and accepting it, but it's okay to get rid of things over time in order to create an authentic space. Buy yourself some flowers, hire help or a cook for an evening or two a month, which means just buying yourself some things that you enjoy. Or even hiring a cook, somebody that can come in and cook for you and your family and just be able to relax and enjoy those moments. Find a housekeeper or hiring a housekeeper, somebody that can come in and do your laundry for you, where you're able to maybe relax, listen to some music, or just be in an authentic space, encouraging you to do some of these things that I have listed. Use candles and aromatherapy scents in your physical spaces. And so this is another important element. If you have ever gone to a spa and you suddenly felt relaxed, they use aromatherapy. And aromatherapy is a form of alternative medicine that helps to improve a person's health or mood. Not all scents you're going to like, but we hope some. Emotional space. Emotional space is the last piece of creating an authentic space, but it's not the least. So I encourage you to journal daily. That's activating that mind-body connection and slowing down, lighting some candles, having your tea nearby, and actually using that pen or pencil to document how it is that you're feeling. You'll be surprised how it is. I don't encourage electronic journaling. I truly encourage the pen and paper kind. Let's see, the how are you. So how are you is this thing that I've started as far as you being emotionally aware and body scanning where you are. So identifying as somebody opening the door for you and saying, how are you, come on in. And so the how are you are usually met with the I'm good. We don't say I'm good because good is not an emotion. So we're identifying I'm content, I'm calm, I'm in joy, I'm overwhelmed, I am all of these, I'm these things at this moment. And so next time somebody asks you how you're doing, they're like holding the door for you to say, hey, where are you in this moment? Ride the wave. And so allowing yourself, if you're in a place of joy or if you're in a place of sadness, to ride that wave and to be your authentic self and just say, I'm going to give myself 10 minutes to feel the sadness, or to the end of the day, or to the end of the month, because it all needs to be acknowledged. You can't just rush to the good part. It's time to show up. So tips and reminder is in being your authentic self or creating an authentic space is just to remember that what you value and your morals are, to practice self-awareness and create a space of authenticity, physically, emotionally, and mentally. My name is Marquita Thompson, and Mahogany Bridges is my organization. And through therapy, we believe that therapy is a bridge that gets you from trauma to healing. That is my presentation for today, and I hope that it all is well.
Thank you so much, Marquita Thompson, for your wonderful presentation. It's awesome. Thank you. And here is a question from our audience. So, in what ways you have moved forward or made progress away from your trauma?
Can you repeat the question, Melinda? I'm sorry.
So I think I have another question. So, how do you deal with tough memories, emotions, thoughts, or behaviors?
How do I deal with tough emotions and behaviors?
So, how do you deal with tough memories, emotions, thoughts, or behaviors?
So, how do I deal with tough memories, thoughts, and behaviors? Um, Well, one thing that did not make the cut because I was trying to be a time conscious is going to therapy. I'm a therapist, and I strongly encourage individuals to go to therapy to help process some of that trauma. It's good to go to a friend if they're there. However, like my peer said previously, I think it was Juana who said like you wouldn't go to a friend or you wouldn't go to someone that isn't trained if you had a cut or if you had a broken arm. And so, if you have that type of behaviors like the memories or basically trauma or behaviors that you feel like you are not able to control, then maybe going to a therapist to try to process some of those things. And then also diving into some of those, I'm sorry, certain therapists are trained in certain things. Like one is trained in brain spotting. I'm trained in brain spotting as well as act therapy, and these are accepting and commitment therapy. And so there's different therapists that are trained in different things as far as trauma, as far as behavioral therapy. EMDR is a great therapy. All these things, and so just identifying what the symptoms are, and then following up with someone for care.
Thank you so much. Well answered. So, thank you so much for your participation. So,
Thank you so
so
much for
have a
having
great
me.
day.
You too.
Bye bye. So, let's jump into the another session.